Lost in Fantaland originally released onto the PC via Steam back in September of 2022, and just recently we got confirmation that this highly anticipated pixel art deck builder or roguelike strategy game is gonna be making its way into both PlayStation 5 consoles and to the Nintendo Switch in June of 2024. So today, not only do I want to introduce you guys to this brand new entry finally making its way into consoles, but I also want to talk about why I think this game is certainly worth paying attention to when it finally launches, especially for deck builder fans. You know that I've been playing almost every deck builder that has come out so far. I'm actually reviewing two of them right now as they are getting ready to release in both late January and in early February. So I'm certainly a big fan of the genre, and it came to my surprise to see that Lost in Fantaland was finally able to release onto the Nintendo Switch later this year, so I certainly wanted to talk about it. When it originally launched onto the PC via Steam, it received relatively very good reviews. If you actually check out the Steam page, they're mostly positive. There's a handful of negative ones, but almost every single game has them. And one of the biggest criticisms that we actually saw on the negative reviews was the fact that a lot of players were complaining that if you were actually going to buy the game, you should probably wait for the full release. Well, thankfully, PlayStation fans and Nintendo Switch fans will be able to get the full release on day one, because ultimately the game has been already finished. Most content patches that have been kind of dropping, I believe the last one was somewhere around September or so of last year. There was a lot of like regular updates, adjustments, bug fixing, patching and stuff, but nothing necessarily too overwhelming to revise the game from where it already was. So ultimately it seems to be like it's already finished. For those who may not necessarily know, Lost in Fantaland is a retro pixel art roguelike game that blends in deck building and turn-based strategies on a checkerboard. You can choose from a warrior, mage, or deceiver, but of course plenty of other different versions of those classes have been made available post-launch, so you can essentially turn your warrior into like a berserker or a ninja or stuff like that. There's different iterations or permutations of that same class with different skills and traits. You'll be exploring randomly generated worlds and fight on an 8x8 checkerboard. Now the interesting thing here is that every single enemy attack and every single one of your attacks can actually change the terrain greatly. You can create puddles, you can create mud, you can create ice, you can create fire, and all of these things will kind of change the way the tile is being served. So obviously you don't want to be standing in fire, you don't want to be standing in ice, but if an enemy just happened to cast a fire spell or an ice spell on a specific tile, well, guess what? That is what those tiles are going to have. So you're going to have to figure out a way to be able to deal with unrequested consequences from enemy actions and your own as well. And this is some of the things that they talk about in the key features in their game's descriptions. They mention that it blends deck building and checkerboard strategy to create a brand new, fresh, new feelings. And just, again, the fact that you're able to change style elements automatically changes the gameplay. The creative and card combinations play methods make unexpected surprises. You're going to be able to mix up cards from different essential jobs and sort them out in your deck however it is that you want, and it's up to you how you're going to be able to enjoy the story based on how it is that you chose to level up and power up your character. Each adventure in the randomly generated world will be different and fresh. Now usually most roguelikes tend to promise these type of ideas. Replayability though is ultimately the key. If you're having fun, and of course enemy variety is more than good enough, you should be able to have an amazing time. Obviously a story helps, but when it comes to deck builders, that's probably not something you should be really expecting. They mention that each adventure in the randomly generated world will have a different unique character classes unlocked. Now this is one of those things where like you have to just spend your time playing the game to be able to see just how different those classes are. For example, I've seen in deck builders where you have, for example, a mage, but then the mage can only cast like fire, lightning, and like frost or whatever, and you don't necessarily get any variations of them. So you can essentially just choose those three and stick to that. I don't particularly like those kind of deck builders. They just kind of limit your ability to do that, especially when it comes to elements. So it'll be interesting to see just how they choose to handle it in this one. Lastly, I mentioned a huge amount of cards, items, and secret treasures to unlock and use. They do specifically mention that there are relics, of course, to be had. Power cards can be powered up and mutated into different permutations of those versions of those cards, and persistent updates can also carry over. So it's not like even if you have a failed run, you're just not getting anything out of it. You certainly are. It's just going to be one of those things where, like, if you're not necessarily having a great time, you're probably going to need to do a couple of more runs to be able to take down that boss and finally learn the proper strategy. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today regarding Lost in Fantaland, finally launching onto the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 5, June of 2024. If you're brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!